Right, so Prime Day was a few days ago. I know I just bought a keyboard literally right before that I just reviewed and just did another video on. I know that. I know that 100%. But because it was Prime Day, I could excuse it. I bought another one. By the way, please subscribe. This is the KN85. The Prime Day deal allowed me to get it for $36. Right now it is, I believe, $49.99. It comes with a dust cover. And then I'm going to go into the accessories before I actually get into the board. So you get the cable, USB-C cable, a keycap and switch puller, and you get some extra switches. And these are the switches that are in the keyboard. They have a, I think, 45-gram operating force and a 50-gram bottom mount. They're 5-pin, and they sound like this. All I know is that they're called the Bee-Sun Creamy Purples, I think, but I can't find them selling anywhere but Amazon. Then there was a user manual. I lost it because I did a short reel on this / TikTok earlier. Anyway, the keyboard's wrapped up in plastic. I'll put that down somewhere. And then this is the board itself. So this is supposed to be a 75% keyboard, but I do find the layout a little bit unconventional. The first thing I noticed is that your Alt, Fn, and Control, those modifier keys, those actually only are usually shortened to only 1 unit on a 75%, but here they stay standard size. The same goes for the shift, which is usually shortened to, I think, 1.5 units. It's standard size here as well, 2.75 units. Then you have all 6 nav keys, which you don't normally see on a 75%. That's normally something only limited to a TKL and bigger. And then you have 2 media keys right here, your print and your pause. And then everything else is pretty standard for a 75%. You've got your F keys, arrow keys. So all that's normal. There's just a couple of the keys that you wouldn't normally see on a 75%. You have them here, which actually makes it compatible with a lot more keycap sets that are like more budget. So this is good. Then I turned my lights off for this because I just want to show off really quickly the RGB and go through some of the shortcuts that you need to manage it. So if you want to change the effect of your backlighting, and there are plenty on this board, I'll go through all of them. Your shortcut is going to be FN and insert. Trash collector. Oh my god. Hopefully they will fix the brakes on those garbage trucks one day. But then to change just the color of the backlight, you're going to use FN delete. To lower the brightness, you're going to use FN and then the down arrow. And then you're going to do the same thing with the up arrow to bring your brightness up. To slow down your lighting effect, just the movement of the lighting effect, you're going to use FN and the left arrow. And then to speed it up, you're going to use FN and the right arrow. Now this keyboard definitely seems nice for the price, but let's see how it sounds. I think it's definitely not a bad board. I would absolutely recommend this as sort of like a starter board for beginners if you don't want to spend more to get aluminum. It definitely has a nice, like, it's sort of like a deep cream sound profile. I would say it's very close to Thock. There is a little bit of work that needs to be done on a couple of the stabilizers, the backspace and the space, but that can be easily fixed with some lube. And then the board is a little bit hollow inside, so I want to see what it looks like on the inside. Now that I've opened it up, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and lift off the top case, put it down right here. So the keyboard has a polycarbonate plate and it has silicone gaskets, so we know that it's gasket mounted, it's going to bounce. And the polycarbonate plate definitely helps with that nice deep sound profile. I'm a little scared to unplug the ribbon cable, not gonna lie, so I'm gonna hold it upside down, the PCB sandwich. So, from what I can see, there's a fair amount of dampening in the board. I see some plate foam, and I see some foam that's like attached to the PCB, like a modified tape mod, I guess. Because normally I see like the case foam actually placed in the case, you don't actually attach it to the PCB itself. In the bottom case you've got a silicone dampener and you also have a battery and your daughter board. Let me see if this board has PCB foam as well. There we go. No broken housings, good. And it does. It has PCB foam as well. So this board is definitely well dampened. But there's still a little bit of a hollowness to it, which I'm going to attribute to possibly just the fact that it's plastic. You can't really do much about the fact that it's plastic. I could put some other stuff in it, but I'm worried it might impact the gasket performance, so I may try putting something in and then taking it out. So again, the polycarbonate plate, the dampening, especially the dampening, and especially the silicone in the bottom here, you definitely would not have seen that in a $50 board back in my day. I know there's some standoffs here, so I wonder if you could have the option to change the mounting style if you wanted to, or maybe this board used to be tray mount in earlier days. I'll go ahead and snap the case back on. Hopefully I aligned everything correctly to be able to do that. Alright, and with that, everything should be snapped back on properly. I'm going to think about whether I should mod this board at all. Well, I'm back and I'm itching to get my hands dirty, so the answer is yes. And although my hands probably will not be getting physically dirty, I will be modding this board. So the first thing that I want to work on are the stabilizers. They are pre-lubed, but the backspace and the space, I think, have a little bit of rattle. Well, the spacebar has rattling, the backspace has some ticking. Oh wait, I don't have to take the stabilizers out to mod them. So if you're a beginner watching this and you are afraid to start taking apart the stabilizers, there is a way to lubricate them without actually taking them apart. So to do that, you need two things to be able to do it. First, you need a syringe of Krytox 205 grade 0 lubricant. I got this 7.5 milliliter syringe from Kinetic Labs. And some blunt end needles, which I got off of Amazon in my case. But anyway, when the stabilizer lubing is done correctly, you should only see a little bit on the wire, maybe a little bit more. Something like this. To zoom that in way further. Anyway, I'll flash a picture on the screen of what it's supposed to look like. Anyway, you're gonna do the same on the other side. Take the stabilizers out because as it turns out you do have to actually take the stabilizers apart to be able to clip the bottom properly. And take your switch puller or your fingers, push down on, let's see if I can zoom in on this tab right here, and then push the stabilizer forward so that you can pull it out. Then to take your stabilizer apart, you're just going to snap it out. Put the wire down. You're going to take the housing out. Then you can flip that over. grab your nail clipper and clip off that extra leg that you've got there. Then to put your stabilizer back together, just so you know, the small hole here, because there's two holes, this little one and this big one, this little hole should be lined up with the tab you just pushed down on to take your stabilizer out. So when you put your housing back in, it's going to look like this from the bottom. From there, you are going to use your fingers to hold your housing in, your stem in place in the housing. And you're gonna eventually slip your wire in there, snap closed, and check to make sure everything's moving properly. Then you can snap your stabilizers back in. Yeah, it's this way. And then you can go ahead and syringe lube them like I did before. And you can go ahead and syringe lube them the way that I did before. Once you're finished clipping and lubing your stabilizers, they should sound at least marginally better than they did before, with less rattling and less tick. A little something like this, maybe. Sorry, that was my nail. Also my nail. Now I want to see if I can put a little bit of extra foam, at least in the bottom half of this case here, to try and dampen the hollowness just a little bit more. Now I'm using my old reliable EVA foam to do this because, well, it's great. It's a little small, so I'll have to use 2 pieces, but I'm just going to press it down so I can get an idea of where I need to poke my holes and cut. Alright, so I cut up a piece of foam. This is what it looks like inside the board. Now I'm going to move this mic out of the way. Put everything back together and see if it closes. Make sure everything is aligned properly. And hopefully snap it shut. Unbelievable, it closed, and it does help a little bit, but not a ton. Unfortunately, putting anything else in there would significantly compromise the gasket performance, so I'm not going to do that. Then the last change I want to make is to the keycaps. This is the brand. They do seem very, very similar to another brand. I'm sure you've heard of them, Awesome Keys. Okay, it does actually help a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these on. Right, so I tried to add a second layer of foam just randomly while I was in the middle of putting these on. I put the second layer of foam in, the keyboard would not close properly, I took out the second layer of foam. So basically I put one layer of foam and I lubed and clipped the stabilizers. And honestly, there isn't a whole lot you can do with this board because there's so much already like there. And the case foam is actually attached to the PCB, so you can't really even tape mod it either. So I'll leave you guys with before and after sound tests.